Hello everyone and welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is, there's a lump on the side of my neck. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. And if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. At first, I didn't think the lump on my neck was anything out of the ordinary. It looked like a big zit. Annoying, but nothing to worry about. Then it started growing. I was freaked out, but not enough to see anyone about it. I mean, I have terrible health insurance, so I can't exactly afford a doctor's appointment just to be told that I have a weird pimple. By the time it was big enough to really worry me, it was too late. When I woke up and saw that the lump had burst, I was glad. When I went to the bathroom to clean up, I was covered in some kind of weird pus. I took it as a good sign. That proved it was just a zit or a boil or something else mostly harmless. I took a washcloth and started cleaning off the residue when I noticed there was something inside my neck. I didn't know what else to do but to pull it out. It looked like a weird string of flesh, still a little gooey from whatever was inside that lump. I thought it was just a weird side effect of whatever happened to me, and I threw it out without a second thought. I finished cleaning up and put the biggest band-aid I could find over the area where the lump had been. And by the time I left for work, I had already forgotten about it. I actually didn't think about it at all for a few days, other than when I changed the band-aid a few times. It didn't seem to be bleeding or produce more pus or anything, but I kept a clean bandage on it anyways. At least it meant other people wouldn't notice or comment on the healing wound. It was a couple days after it had burst that I noticed the trash can in my bathroom had gotten knocked over. I grabbed it to put it back when I saw the thing that had come out of my neck, and then it turned and looked at me with two gaping holes that almost looked like eyes. I screamed and dropped the trash can. The thing inched out, almost like a worm, writhing and wiggling on my tile floor. I looked around for something to smash it with and grabbed the hand soap dispenser, but by the time I lunged for the thing on the floor, it had disappeared. Now I was freaked out. Whatever had come out of me was alive. I started Googling anything I could think of that might explain it. Parasites, worms, infections, but nothing seemed to match up with what I saw. I kept a lookout for it around my house, so I could kill it or study it, or trap it to bring it to a doctor. But wherever it had hidden, it was good. I thought, optimistically, that it might have died. I also thought, pessimistically, that it might have somehow crawled back inside of me, maybe while I was asleep. When I saw it again, 3 days after the bathroom, it was barely recognizable as the thing I had first pulled out of my neck. It had grown, or maybe more accurately, it had evolved. It was bigger, crawling around my living room on the appendages that could almost be arms and legs. I chased after it on instinct, but it turned and ran under my couch before I could reach it. I crouched down to look at it, and it looked back at me with those empty eye sockets. It wasn't a rope of flesh or a worm anymore. It was a creature, and too close to human for comfort. I didn't know what to do with this thing living under my couch. I didn't have any way to trap it, and anytime it came back out, it was too fast for me to get to it. Eventually I figured I would just have to live with it while I figured out what to do. Could I call animal control? My doctor? A university? I kept Googling, thinking I couldn't be the first person who ever got this parasite or whatever it was. But nothing came up, so I just let it live under my sofa. I ignored it and hoped it would go away. We ignored each other for 2 weeks. It got bigger, and it evolved more. It started to look more and more human. It walked on 2 legs, sometimes. It stayed under the couch for about a week, until it didn't fit anymore. And then I think it went to live in my closet. I started to think of it as a pet, almost. It wasn't cute or anything, but it was harmless. It shared my space, and it didn't cause any trouble. Maybe a roommate would be a better analogy. I became desensitized to it by the end of those 2 weeks. Sometimes I even forgot it was there, which is why it came as a shock when I came home from work yesterday to see it standing in my kitchen. I could tell it was the thing that crawled out of my neck, but it didn't look anything like that anymore. It looked like me. I hadn't noticed because the changes were so gradual and it hid away so much. But that thing was growing into a copy of me. It was a perfect replica, same height, same hair. It was even standing with my posture. It was wearing my clothes, down to a pair of socks I thought I lost in the dryer last week. I guess I was right that it had moved into my closet. It was just standing there, looking out my kitchen window. It seemed almost calm. I wasn't sure what to do at first. I walked up to it, and for the first time, it didn't run away. It just kept staring out the window with its back to me. Maybe it saw something out there that was distracting it. Maybe it decided it was time to face each other. We stood silently for a moment, and then it turned around and looked at me with those black eyes. It hadn't replicated my eyes. It still had 2 black holes in its face. I know they were eyes though. I could feel them staring at me. I acted on instinct. I knew I needed to kill this thing. I reached out for anything nearby and grabbed the first thing my hand came into contact with. It was my toaster, sitting unplugged on the counter. I hit the thing wearing my clothes on the head, and it went down. I kept hitting it, and hitting it, and hitting it, and its flesh ripped apart. Knowing I had to destroy it, it barely fought back, really. The thing didn't bleed as it died. It just leaked more of that pus that came out of my neck. By the time I came to my senses and stopped pounding it with the toaster, it was just a mass of flesh and goo, soaking into the clothes it had stolen. I gathered it up and put it all in a trash bag. The clothes and the toaster too. I threw it out and cleaned up the kitchen in a daze. You can't even tell that anything happened there anymore. I went to bed still on autopilot and then woke up. I could almost believe I'd dreamed up the thing that grew out of me. Maybe I would believe it was a dream if I hadn't looked in the mirror this morning. There's another lump on my neck.